Hi and welcome along to this week's episode of the Wedding Band Show with myself, Brian McDermott. On today's show, I caught up with Fergal Harmon from the band Bridal Wave to find out all about the band and why they might be the perfect wedding band for your wedding. Let's get into the show. Hi Fergal, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, how's it going, Brian? I'm good. 1, 2, 1, 2.
You missed doing that, do you?
12 months waiting to do that, to test out a mic.
So, just wanted to have you on the show today to tell everybody about Bridal Wave. When did the band start? That kind of thing.
Absolutely, yeah. So the band is 15 years on the road. The wedding side of the band has been 5 years on the road. So we started off playing the pubs and clubs, cut our teeth there. And then
Yeah.
back in 2016, we sort of organically grew into the wedding market. We had a lot of friends, relations, people that had seen us play live gigs in the pubs and clubs that kind of inquired, were wondering, would we be interested in doing weddings, or if we did do weddings. So we started taking on small little bits of weddings, and it just sort of progressed from there. And we just found ourselves growing out of the pub and club scene and into the wedding scene, and invested into that and rebranded ourselves as Bridal Wave and kind of just targeted that market. So that's how we developed.
Yeah. I suppose the wedding scene would be a bit more organised.
A lot more organized. You know what you're getting and when you're getting it.
Yeah, I think, well, if you could see it as luckily enough, I actually, when I started in a band, it was straight into weddings. So whatever, I don't even want to think how long ago, it was like 15, 20 years ago, but it was just, I never had to do the pub scene as such. When I was younger, I had kind of 2 and 3 piece bands going and stuff like that. But when it got more serious, it was just straight into the weddings. So I'm sure it can be good and bad on the pub scene.
Yeah, I mean, you take the good with the bad. We probably wouldn't be gigging where we are at the moment if we hadn't have done it, and we wouldn't have learned,
True,
all your
yeah.
mistakes throughout it as well. Like, we started quite young, and
Yeah.
I guess you learn a lot on the road. You learn a lot what you're doing throughout the pubs, and as well, every pub is different, so you get to see different crowds and different people, different counties,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
that kind of helped us then kind of develop our set list and develop how to read a crowd and see exactly what was going to work on the night. But
And
the
I
pub
suppose
scenes,
most of your fan base from then is the people getting married now.
absolutely, yeah. So we would have had a lot of friends, relations, and then we would have had people that seen us in the pub scene that were kind of like similar age to us as well. And
Mm.
then just when they started to move on and started getting engaged, because they had known us from the pub scene or the club scene, they were just dropping messages saying, by any chance, do you do weddings? And it was something we always talked about and always decided that we would eventually make the move. We didn't think we'd make it as quick as we did, but
Yeah.
people just started getting married that were our friends. And we were just kind of like, do you know what? While it's there, while the availability is there, let's go for it. And we haven't looked back since.
Yeah. And where are you based? And you play all over the country, don't you?
Play all over the country, yeah, play nationwide. So we're based here out of Carrick-On-Shannon. One of our guys, he's in Galway. We're all actually from home.
Mm.
Carrick-On-Shannon, Coot Hall, sort of
Yeah.
Leitrim, Roscommon area. And about 2 years ago, our drummer ended up hanging up the sticks. A couple of kids at home, Johnny Moffat, he was
Yeah.
you actually played at his
We
wedding in
played at his wedding, yeah.
Castlejargan. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
a
yeah.
great night. So Johnny had hung up the sticks, but up until that, we were all kind of from the same area, had gone to school together, all knew each other. And then we had a new guy come on board, Adam, with us, and he's been drumming with us since. So Adam's from Athlone. Niall is living in Galway, but from home here. And then Keith is actually Niall's brother from here as well. And then he's just living up past Mullingar at the moment.
So the lineup, it's a 4 piece band, is it?
Four-piece band, yes. So we have lead guitar, rhythm guitar, we have drums and bass, and then we have vocals is myself, and then Niall on backing vocals.
Cool, cool. Well,
Yeah.
that's a lot of pressure on you. If the main man singing the whole
Yeah,
gig.
well, it was funny because the guys had played for about maybe probably 5 or 6 years before I had kind of joined them. So I was
Mm.
out doing my one man show and kind of doing church ceremonies and drinks receptions. So it wasn't out of the ordinary for me to be playing 3, 4 nights a week and doing a full show on my own as it was.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I think over time, kind of my strength of my voice developed, and I was able to control, how I sung each night to kind of allow myself to do what I do.
Yeah.
And then when I moved into it, it was actually one guy he had gone on a J1, and another friend of ours, and he had gone on a J1. He said, "Do you mind stepping in for 3 months just while I do this?" And I said, "Yeah, fine, no problem." And it's 5 years later, I'm still there, still playing with them. So
Any
I
sign of
must
him
have
to
done
come back, or?
something right. He went down the singer songwriter route, so he's doing quite
Okay.
well at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 5 years later, I'm still with them, and we're rocking away.
Yeah. Well, if you can call it 5, it's kind of been 4 and a year off.
Well, yeah, I guess so.
That's what I was saying. I don't think my birthday counted this year. I'm just going to stay at 39 for another year.
That's
This year's.
exactly what I said as well. I turned 30 this year, and I said, "Well,
Yeah, yeah. It
technically,
doesn't. It doesn't really
I'll
count.
get a year back." Yeah, yeah.
So if a couple comes along and I suppose the first question, what kind of music do you do? What's the answer you'd say for Bridal Wave?
Without giving like a really wide answer, we cover everything. And I
Mm,
think most bands, especially what I've learned as well, playing weddings, is most bands will cover everything. They'll never kind of just set themselves in a certain genre, because you don't know what kind of crowd you're walking into. So you have to be able to be versatile enough to cater for country, to be able to cater for pop rock, to be able to cater for 80s. Now the couples will come ahead and they say, "Look, we're interested in booking you, and this is the kind of music that we like."
mm.
So what we'll do then is we'll chat to them and we'll say, "Yeah, we can cover that as well." And then if there's kind of any questions like, "Can you look after the aunties and uncles, or a couple of the younger crowds?" We do that as well. So what we'd mainly do is get them to have a look through kind of what our set list is online. And then
Yeah.
we would also kind of send them a draft set list as well of kind of what we have lined up for the night, or what we regularly play at weddings, because we know what works and we know what doesn't work. And we're able to chop and change on the night as well, according
Mm.
to what kind of crowd is in front of you. So it's a tough question to answer, really, because you don't want to say we play everything, but we have to play
It kind of
everything.
it is the truth. You kind of do play
Mm,
everything, and it's that's the true answer. Like you said, it's hard to tell people. And one of the first questions is, what kind of music do you do?
mm.
And I think you'd have to guess that 99% of bands that call themselves wedding bands just do everything, because, like you said, you don't know what you're walking into. So you have to
Yeah.
be ready for all situations.
Yeah, you just have to have that versatility. You can't bog yourself down in one genre and then land on the night and go, "But this is what we do," and expect
Yeah.
everyone to like it, because what you do one night might go down a bomb, but what you go out and do the next night mightn't necessarily work. So you have to have the intelligence to read the crowd and say, "Guys, these are loving a certain style or a certain set that we're
Mm.
playing at the moment. So let's keep rolling with this until
Yeah.
you see the change." And then you see that maybe they're drifting off this way, or you play another song, and you can see that brings more onto the floor. So you can kind of start to tease that sort of side of the set out then.
Yeah. I think that's where you know yourself. You always see bands kind of drifting into the wedding scene, but then there's a lot of them that drift out again because they don't have that mentality. They come in with the kind of pub
Mm,
club scene. They do their set,
mm.
and like you said, it'll work some nights, and other nights it'll die. And
Yeah,
they
yeah.
kind of drift out of the weddings, and they just don't. They don't basically sit down, I suppose, and learn a wedding set. And learn a few
Yeah,
waltzes, learn
exactly.
a
Yeah.
few jives, have them there in your back pocket in case you need them.
Yeah, because there's a lot of research that goes into it, because like I said, we played pubs and clubs for so long that it was a pub and club set. But
Mm,
we knew, heading into the wedding side of things, we knew that it would work, but not all of it would work. And we were
yeah,
lucky enough to have friends that were already like in the industry that we could kind of call upon and ask,
yeah,
what do you think about this, or could you give us any recommendations or any tips? And we're good enough to do that for us as well. So we were able to come back then to the drawing board, and we knew kind of from our pub set what would work. And then we
mm,
had also taken the advice on board of what goes down well, or what to be aware of.
yeah.
And we started to incorporate that into the set then. And then we brought the two of them together. And once we married kind of the wedding and the pub thing to kind of sweet spot, you were laughing. Now,
Y-
things chop and change as well as the year goes on, because you'll
Well,
have big
that's it.
songs
Yeah.
that come out and people will want them. So you kind of introduce them songs, but they'll come and go, but the classics will always stay.
Yeah, they will. Like even some of the songs that you'd think you put in the set recently and you'd call young songs, you'd think back now and they're like 14, 15 years old. And you're like, but like
I
that,
don't
some
like
of
to
the
think like
classics,
that.
some of the classics will stay, and some
Yeah.
of the songs, even though they might be 14 years old, it'll still get everybody out dancing.
Yeah.
Um, when it comes to Bridal Wave, then do you do a disco package or is it just a band or?
Yeah, so we offer both wedding band and DJ, and the DJ is myself. So when we're setting up the band and the DJ at the same time. So
Mm,
there's no kind of lag or break in the band moving over to the DJ side of things. It's kind of straight in. I'm near the couple well, and as I'm doing that, the guys are finishing out. I'm almost right in behind the DJ deck
yeah,
straight away and getting that rocking and rolling. And I find it's handy too, because it kind of it narrows down what couples are looking for as well. They don't have to go and outsource another DJ, or they don't have to try and figure out who they want. If it just all comes as one package, it's handy just to deal with the one band or the one person. And I think it's a winning factor, really.
and you already know the crowd by that stage too. I find,
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know if they're kind of on the, they like their jives and waltzes, or they're kind of certain type of rock, or maybe 90s dancer. You kind of have a good feel.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. Like, you've been there all night, you've played to them, so you know what they want and you know what they don't want.
Mm,
And you kind of just you're able to gauge it way better. So the minute you start the DJ set, it's just a matter of what you've done that night, just knowing that that particular genre is going down well. So
yeah,
we'll roll with that for a while, and then of course there'll be a couple of requests that will come in, and I'll be the judge on whether they get played or not, because
yeah, yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
you get requests and you're like, oh, I don't know about that one. Maybe just leave it to me. But yeah, you're there for the majority of the night, so you know what's going to work. So it makes it easy for you. You're not kind of walking into the room at maybe 11 or half 11 and trying to quickly judge when I set
Yeah.
up what's going to go down well.
And you always find too, some of the better DJs we work with set up with the band. But you
Yeah,
find the guys that do like that, they come in after the tea break, set up, and they end up playing most of the songs the band have played in their first half an
yeah,
hour. You're like, yeah, we played that.
yeah,
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 you
yeah.
mentioned it there earlier on. Do you still do ceremony music package and drinks reception, or?
No, at the very start, we used to offer the whole lot. It used to be like church ceremony, drinks reception, and then it was the band, and then it was the DJ. But it was just way too long of a day. And when we
Mm,
first started off, we kind of had a healthy book, and it was manageable. But as the
mm,
numbers started to grow, it was just harder and harder to kind of provide the service, or at least the level of service that you want to provide for each couple. So we
mm.
decided to scale back then. And on top of that, it was myself that was doing the church ceremony or the drinks reception. So if I was there for both of them and the band and the DJ, you're talking, I was starting at maybe half 11, 12 o'clock in the morning, and I wasn't
Yeah.
finishing until whatever finish time was that night. And it was burning the candle too much. So we decided to scale back and just focus on delivering the best that we could get band and DJ wise.
Yeah. And I suppose now that we can't really do any showcases, or there's no live gigs, what's the best way somebody can
Mm.
get a taste of Bridal Wave or get a feel for what you do?
I mean, we have promotional work online, which is great. People always look at that, and then they'll always come and say, found your videos. We've done a couple of COVID cover videos where we've all recorded our own bits in our own separate areas, and brought them together, and put them up. But I mean, really the best publicity is just word of mouth.
Yeah.
And because we're a couple of years in now, and we have however many amount of weddings under the belt, you'll find that it's always couples or people that have been to a wedding that are referred it. And we've seen that then coming back in emails where I was at a wedding last year, or my friend got married and told me about, geez, word of mouth is the best one. And then what
Yeah.
we'll do then is talk them through it. Best case scenario, we get to have a phone call with them. I think you can kind of get your whole package across really better on a phone call than an email. So that's the way
Yeah.
we're really rolling at the moment. Yeah.
Even one benefit of things the way they are, I'm liking the Zoom calls with couples.
Oh,
Um,
right.
It's kind of, yeah, it's I just find it's nicer than emailing over and back. You know, if you can schedule a call. And it's funny,
It's a
most of them
face to
have,
a name too, isn't it?
yeah, yeah, and most of the, I think nearly all of them, to be honest, that were a Zoom call ended up converting, you know,
Right.
into an actual booking, because you're not just, you know, you're not just words on a screen. Then they can actually get a feel for what you do and what your attitude is about the whole wedding. When's
Hold
your
on till I
guest
just
on?
write that down.
Yeah, Zoom call everybody. Yeah,
Zoom
when's
call
your?
everyone.
It does work though, you know, and it's
Yeah.
funny. Most of the people that I have had Zoom calls with are like based in Australia or Canada or that. It doesn't
Yeah.
really happen, you know, around Ireland.
Mm.
But it, you know, it's still, I don't know. I think even if a couple are out there and you're thinking about booking a band or supplier, we're all used to Zoom calls at these stage,
Hmm.
at this stage. So I think, you know, no harm to ask them, you know, maybe for a Zoom call, and like that you'll get an exact feel for, you know, just their attitude and general demeanor. It's a bit like going to a wedding fair,
Yeah.
you know,
That's it too.
same kind of thing.
You're kind of talking to them face to face. It's a bit more personal as well.
Yeah, exactly. When's your guess for when we'll be back at work, or what are you thinking?
I'll shake the crystal ball. Honestly, look, we still have bookings for this June, and
Mm,
please God, if things are going well, we will be playing them. To what
mm,
number and under what restrictions is anyone's guess.
yeah,
But I would be quietly confident that we'd be back playing in July.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'm thinking like as the vaccines are rolled out, you know,
Mm.
there'll be less and less reason to keep everything locked down. So like you, well, I'm thinking kind of by September, you'd be hoping that 150 plus would be back, you know.
That'd be great. I mean, I was thinking along the lines of we would see the 100 in September and
Mm,
possibly be looking at the 50 figure for July and August and seeing how that goes. So, like,
yeah,
I'm on the same page as you 100%. If we got 150, even better again.
yeah. What do you miss most about playing at the weddings?
The
A
cocktail
tough one.
sausages.
I
I
don't
know.
eat them now, being a vegan and all. I don't
Oh,
have
do
them.
you not?
I
We'll
never I
have to
never get
get.
any food at the tea break.
You're
Because
going to have to put a request in for vegan cocktail
I
sausages
know,
now
yeah, it's
anymore in the
because it's
booking
always
form.
cocktail sausages, chicken nuggets or some kind of chicken goujons, and then tuna sandwiches, and you know that's all
Yeah.
the, yeah.
No,
Um,
honestly, what I honestly miss is the kind of buzz, the atmosphere of the night.
yeah,
It's great getting in the van and chatting with the lads on the way to the gig and kind of catching up. But
mm,
once you get to the room as well, I really love the setup and kind of looking around the room and seeing just everyone having a good time. There's always that nice vibe at a wedding as well, where
yeah,
everyone kind of like lets their hair down, and there's people that haven't seen each other in a long time, and there's other people that don't know other people, and they're mingling and mixing. So it's the actual buzz in the room that I miss the most. Obviously, performing is a major factor of it too, but it's just getting out there and kind of socializing and interacting with new people, and just performing is really the big loss of everything.
yeah. It has been odd to go from, you know, 2 or 3 nights a week doing that to just sitting at home every weekend.
It's
What
tough.
would you say you don't miss about the weddings?
What do I not miss? God, I don't know. Sometimes, like I'm probably still in the honeymoon phase of it all. I just love it all, but
Yeah,
I think like it's kind of sometimes the long drives home. If you're talking, you're a good
yeah,
3-4 hours away, and it's a tough slog home, especially if the night's
mm,
been a long night and you're kind of like rain or the bad weather can be with you. That's what, other than that, I enjoy every bit of it. But if it's a good long drive home, I'm kind of like, and some people love driving, but I'm just kind of like, I just love getting back and everything's safe and sound and
yeah.
we're home in bed. And next thing it's off to the next one, you know?
No, I love the drive. I think, you know, when you have 5 kids at home, the longer the drive home, the better. I might cut that bit out.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
Fergal,
No,
how can people look up about Bridal Wave or get in touch?
yeah,
See if you're available.
you can get in touch with us. First of all, our website is bridalwaveband.com. Get in touch to this at www.bridalwaveband@gmail.com. We're on Facebook as well, and we also are on Instagram as well, which is kind of our main platform at the moment. Instagram is where we're getting a lot of inquiries and a lot of engagements with as well. It seems to be a really strong platform for couples to come on board, see our content, see footage, see photos, and it's very, very easy for them to contact with us there, and all of our info is on it as well, so they can kind of have a snoop through, and then if they like what they see, they can, hit the link and send us a mail. So
definitely, yeah. Well, I think for a band anyway, the organic reach on Facebook is kind of completely gone. So you can be lucky, I suppose, what time, but Instagram seems to be the popular platform at the minute with couples, definitely.
Instagram's the main one now at the moment, 100%. Like I would see when we advertise or we promote stuff, we do it both on Instagram and Facebook at the same time, but we seem to get a lot more engagements on Instagram, and it's just the way it's gone. It's kind of the market has transferred over to that platform, so it's great. It's great for growing.
Yeah. Well, Fergal, thanks for coming on the show. And if anybody's listening, make sure to check out Bridal Wave on Facebook and Instagram. Are you on TikTok yet? You didn't get into that?
No
TikTok yet.
I waste enough time on other apps without being on TikTok.
Well, TikTok is funny to watch, but to produce content now for another one. So that's it, Fergal. Look, stay safe. Thanks for coming on the show, and we'll talk to you soon.
Delighted. Thanks very much for having me.
Cheers. Thanks.
Cheers.